What's going on, y'all? I'm KMBest. He's the Lambie series. Together, we are 8 Cubes, and we are here to talk to you about the 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap, starting with War Machine, the 4/6 that allows you to play any card, anywhere, ignoring all restrictions, as long as you have the energy for it, aka the Infinite Machine. Lambie, what do you think of War Machine?
I recently got to testing the card quite a bit. I started late, but I got to testing it quite a bit yesterday, and I realized that a lot of my winning with the card. So I played this card in basically in a deck that had like just Hope Summers, good tempo tools, some big cards like Crossbones and Car Obsidian, stuff like that. And of course Ebony Maw and the Infinite. I realized a lot of my winning with this card is not so much with the Infinite because it's super telegraphed. Like you play War Machine on turn 5 and then everyone knows you want to play Infinite on turn 6. So it's like quite telegraphed. And yeah, it doesn't really win as much, but I've been winning a lot with the deck from a different angle, which is like I have Ebony Maw as a 1/7 plus Shang-Chi on turn 6. That actually wins more games. So I do feel like this War Machine card is quite a decent card. Like it's not impacting the game as heavily right now simply because like everybody's very aware of it, right? Like the whole world has stopped playing Professor X's. Like I haven't seen Professor X in Thanos in like so many games. So I feel like because everyone's super aware of the card right now, it doesn't really show its true potential. But I do think this card may have like future value in the sense that like when if people forget about the card, then it might come back and start haunting us again. The good thing that it has going for it though is it's actually not a bad card to play down onto the board. Like it's a 3/6 with Zabu or a 4/6 every other time. So it actually feels okay to play. It's just that I don't think the impact is what people thought it would be.
Yeah, and in this case, I think I'm People. I thought this would be the third best card of the season, behind, the obvious really good ones, Hope Summers and Mockingbird. And I think that is roughly incorrect. I think Cannonball is probably a better card than this card right now. I think you could reasonably say that. I think the thing with the deck you're talking about, like just like the Hope mid-range type deck, where you're just like playing good cards with Hope
Yeah.
and curving out Doctor Doom, Magneto type stuff, right? Like that deck, I think, doesn't need this card in any real way. It's like it's already doing all that stuff generally with what it has already. You don't need to spend 6,000 to make it better. I'm not even sure it does make it better. It's like roughly equivalent, does kind of the same thing it's already doing. I tried it in Black Knight, where it is an upgrade, but not a good enough upgrade. Where it's like,
Yeah.
this is a card that actually does appreciably make the Black Knight deck better, but it doesn't solve the I drew the wrong half of my deck problem for Black Knight. Where it's like, I had some good games and I had some bad games. I had some bad luck. I had some lost 50/50s, but on the whole, it felt like this deck needed to get lucky a bit more than a good deck would. And I think that is my big takeaway from it. My other big takeaway is it's kind of shocking how small the Infinite is. Like that is just like
Yeah.
there's kind of a small guy, and that is not what I expected it to be like. It's like one of those things where if the meta is different and the Infinite actually is that big and lane winning all the time, I think this could be a real thing. But right now, like, I mean, like, Destroy is just going to go taller than that every lane. And you're just sitting there, like, with your 20 power and they play like a 50 power null, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. I die. And Discard can go taller than that. Thanos can go taller than that. Phoenix Force goes taller than that. And so it's like, those are the decks you're trying to beat, and you are not really able to do that with 20 power.
Yeah, I think the whole War Machine Infinite thing is also an issue because it's very inflexible. Like if you go
Mm-hmm.
War Machine on turn 5, like I mentioned earlier, like I was winning more with like Shang-Chi plus Ebony Maw, which is not always bigger than Infinite. Sometimes it is in terms of like stats gained and stats lost kind of thing. But like Infinite is just too telegraph. It's just like on one location, right? And like the whole Shang-Chi Ebony Maw thing allows you to split stats, which is usually better. But of course, that being said, if we are gonna do all that kind of like cute stuff by playing War Machine just to do Ebony Maw plus Shang, why not just play Shang-Chi and not play War Machine and play other stuff, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, the card is not great right now. Like I don't mind having the card like just cause it's like a decently statted card and all that, but the impact is not huge.
And I also think like there are other places people are playing it, like they'll play it in like a Goose Storm deck, and I just think it doesn't ever go there.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not
that's
enough
just like
stats
not a
also.
thing. Like you end up in a situation where like against someone else playing War Machine, you're the one who's putting extra effort into it. And we've sort of established right now that War Machine itself isn't really getting the points on the board the way you'd need to. I'm not super compelled by those lists in any real way. I actually checked Untapped, and like the highest win rate deck in top 10% Infinite was just a normal lockdown deck with no War Machine in it, which is horrible for War Machine.
Yeah.
Next up, Baron Zemo, next season's Season Pass card, a 3/5 that takes the lowest cost card from your opponent's deck and puts it on the board under your control. And when I look at this card, I think, okay, that's like kind of Gladiator, right? It's a 3/5 that's maybe like going to be a little bit bigger. And I think one of the weird things about Baron Zemo that's not immediately appreciable, I guess there's two. Weird thing number one, when you play it on turn 3, you are filtering out bad draws for your opponent. Most 1-drops, 2-drops, they're not something you want to draw on turn 3. So there is that, right? Like you are helping your opponent in the same way sometimes a Yondu is, right? Except because of the way like both new Yondu and Baron are worded, it's actually always probably helping your opponent. In the vast majority of scenarios, it is helping your opponent. Now, on the other hand, the later you play that card, it feels like the more likely you're going to get something legitimately big off of it, where it's like, this is a better turn 6 play than it is a turn 3 play. And that means by playing it on 6, you dodge not only the fact that it helps your opponent when you play it during the games, like when they still have draws to make, but also it feels like the card you'll get will be bigger. So it feels like this is a 3-drop that you're meant to play on 6, which makes me think Sarah, maybe?
This card is very. I like the card actually. Okay, yes, it does. It does thin your opponent's deck if you play it early because they likely, have like still like small stuff left in their deck that they don't want to draw as well. And I like the card simply because it's very often just a good amount of stats. Like firstly, 3/5 is like gold standard for 3-cost cards, right?
Yep.
Like anything less than that is a bit eh. But like yeah, so it's a good 3-cost card, and like you often get decent stats. Like if you pull a Jeff, okay, fine, that's kind of good. If you play it early, if you play it late, it could be crazy. As crazy as like, okay, pulling a 6-drop is like a bit out there, but it's possible that you
Yeah.
pull a 6-drop with it, which is mad, right? For 3-cost. Even pulling like a 4-cost, it's also pretty good. I really like the card. Yeah, I agree that playing it early is probably a bit worse than playing it late. But playing it late is just like the upside is so huge, right? Can you imagine like with Zabu on the board, you can go like a Zemo Shang, so much stats, or like
Yeah.
just Zemo Gladiators, a very, very strong 3/3. Sarah's one of the homes that I think I might want to experiment this card in. Even not Sarah, like you could, because now Hope Summers is so popular, right?
Just
Like
like
your
any
final turn.
stats deck, right?
Yeah, anything, right? Even without Zabu with Hope Summers on the board, you could easily go 7 energy on like turn 6 and just go 3/4, which is quite insane.
I do worry it might not find a home in the Hope decks because the Hope decks tend to be very like, your board's gonna be full. Like when you're playing those Hope decks, it's like, I'm playing a Doctor Doom on the Hope, I've got Visions, I've got Nightcrawlers, the board's gonna be full. I might not even have room for whatever I get off the Zemo. So I feel like he's gonna have to be like appreciably better than Gladiator in terms of stats whenever you play him in order for him to take that spot, to me at least. And he could.
The funny thing is playing this against Destroy is hilarious because very often you pull a card that blows up the Zemo. So
Yeah.
I guess that's one situation I don't think you want to play Zemo early, like even like for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm excited for the card just because it's a new mechanic, right? We haven't really got like recruit from opponent's deck before. At least I don't think so.
I mean, we don't even have recruit from your deck, really. Like
That's true.
Lockjaw, right? Like that's kind of
Lockjaw's
it.
the only, but Lockjaw's too busted. We don't compare it with Lockjaw.
True. Next up is Red Hulk, a 6/11 that gets +4 power whenever your opponent skips or passes a turn without spending all of their energy. I am typically just bad at rating these cards. I was like, oh, Blob, I don't really get why that's going to be good. It's just a big guy in one lane. I said the same thing about Evo Hulk. I don't really get why that's going to be good. It's just a big guy in one lane. And I am here to triple down. I don't really get why this guy's going to be good. He's just a big guy in one lane.
Oh Lord, I don't recall when you said Blob was not gonna be good, but
I
if I
don't
could
think
go
I said
back
it was going to be not going to be good. I was just saying like I was very off from it ended up being the best card in the game.
if I could go back in time, I would convince you so hard for that at that point in time. Okay, no, but Red Hulk personally to me is a very scary card, which is I think it's actually like really good because
Okay.
it's the blob that every deck can run in a
Okay.
sense, because of course you don't want it on the board, okay, because it grows while it's on the board as well, right, which is not great because it just gets shanked regardless. So the moment you have it in your hand, it's so scary because like normal typical decks don't really get to play blob because 615 is the max, and very often you might not even get it to 615 because you
Mm.
play it on turn 6. But Red Hawk, as long as you have it early in your hand, at minimum, I find it very likely it's gonna be 615 because it's kind of like rare your opponent never floats
Yeah.
a single point of energy. And then on the like slightly above average spectrum, it's like 619.
Yeah.
And the nuts is 623. Anything more than that is just asking for too much. But like,
What deck
615.
wants that?
Come on. Sorry?
What deck wants that though?
The Hope deck. The Hope
Does
deck.
the
It can't
Hope
play a
deck
block.
want that? Like, it's like that's a
It's
deck
just
that
big.
plays like Magneto, Doctor Doom. Are you gonna play three sixes? Are you gonna replace one of those sixes? Because those sixes are really good.
I mean, it might be possible because it's just so big, right? If you have
I
it in your
get
hand,
it, but like that, ew. 3 sixes? Are we about that life? That's crazy. I feel
there's
like.
a chance KM is gonna evaluate this card wrong again. We will see.
Mhm.
We will
I
see.
think I'm gonna like. I don't know. I get it. It's very big. It's a good thing to have a big guy. I'm with it. I'm with it that far. I think it is probably a 615 to a 619 in most games. I'm with it. I just like the type of decks those go in, right? Like you look at High Evo Hulk, it's like a lockdown type deck. Like that's what's happening there. And like I I guess I can see it being good there, right? Where it's like you're a Professor X into Red Hulk deck. That seems like plausible to me. I'm kind of into that. Like I can see how that would work. But like I guess my like I really actually that was not like a serious question. Like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna cut the one of the Doom or Magneto? Which one are you gonna cut? You're gonna run 3? That's a serious question. Cause like I don't know.
Mm.
Answer it. Answer the question. What are you cutting?
I don't know, man, but like honestly,
hard,
I
right?
think I might even consider cutting like okay, wait, so Doom or Magneto? I would actually consider cutting Doom instead of Magneto because Magneto is kind of OP right now.
Okay. Okay. Next up is US Agent, a 2/3 that gives -3 power to all of the 4, 5, and 6 cost cards at its location with an ongoing ability. This card is really interesting to me. I mean, what it instantly strikes me as is like, this is a very interesting She-Not or She-Hulk Moon Girl Abomination deck card because it is both setup and payoff for the way that works. In terms of setup, sure, you play this, you get your -3 that discounts your Abomination. Super sick, right? Dope. There's a lot of decks playing Doctor Doom. You can just slap at this on a Doombot. It outpowers the Doombot, right? It's a 2/3. Doombot gets -3. That's pretty cool, right? It's also payoff. If you duplicate this card and there's enough hits on the board, this is a 2/5, 2/6, sorry, a 2/6 to a 2/9 if you can get it to work. And it's like, that seems like it's worth Moon Girling, and it's also set up for the Moon Girl stuff. So it's like, at least there, I feel like maybe that deck won't end up being good, but I have something to try with it, you know?
My evaluation of this card is a bit different. I don't think this card's gonna be really good because it just feels like, to me, it feels like reverse Manting, and Manting is already something that is already like quite difficult to use. So I don't really value this card that highly, but I'm thinking of scenarios where like you jam this in a location where you expect them to play their 5 or 6. Wait, I mean the easy prediction is like their 4 cost card because it's gonna be down like in the middle of the game, right? But like any further prediction is like what, where they're gonna play their 5 or 6 cost card on the final third. So yeah, I guess this could be like a 2/6. I think 2/9 is already quite, like the fact that if this could be a 2/9, it's insane. But
Yeah.
like I think for the most part it's gonna be a 2/6. That's not bad, by the way. We play 2/6s right now. We play Maximus. We play, sometimes people play Starlord. So I feel like this could be one of those cards. Maybe you play this in Sarah, right? Because like you get to act last, you get to see more stuff on the board. I feel like it just might replace one of those cards in those slots. But other than that, I don't think it's gonna be that impactful.
I think it's not going to be impactful because as soon as it comes out, everyone's just going to play Luke Cage.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well,
That's
this
the
is actually
actual
a
thing.
it's actually a Maximus that gets countered by a tech card, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the second this card comes out, like Luke Cage comes in, and it's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't play the new card. My bad. White Widow is, to me, probably the scariest card in this entire month. Maybe not the best, but definitely the scariest. The one that I think, if it ends up being the best, is the one that's the worst for the game if it is. White Widow is a card that creates a Widow's Kiss on your opponent's side of the board. Widow's Kiss is a 0/0 with an ongoing ability that gives it -4 power as long as that side of, or that location is not filled. So it's like a reverse Ant-Man kind of deal, right? And what strikes me about this card is, one, I would like to bounce it with Beast. That seems very good. Two, I think that's a very compelling priority play. Like, I don't know how you ever in a million years lose, say, an Asgard or a Eternity Range when you have this card in your deck. That's just absolutely gross. And I think that that kind of stuff is like, there are going to be some locations where it's like, oh man, that card is a real problem. I honestly, I'm a little bit thankful Destroy is as good as it is right now, because it's going to need to be in order to deal with, like, if this card ends up being legitimately good, you're going to need those Carnages running around for sure. And as a priority tool, it's strong as hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also a bit like reverse lizard of sorts, right? Because it's also a bit like reverse lizard. This card is interesting because I like to play. I like this card on curve. Like, you play this on curve, like you say, you never really lose the Asgard because it's such a sick tempo tool. Of course, there is obviously the chance your opponent just fills the location, which they'll be very incentivized to, and then you don't get a -4 eventually. But the clock, a zero power thing at the end of the day on your opponent's side of the board is actually very relevant. I don't really know how to evaluate this card fully because I don't think it's gonna be busted, but also this cannot be bad, right? This card cannot be bad, but I'm not too sure if it's gonna be busted. But like, I value this very highly just because you can put, like, at worst a 0 power thing on the board. Some people might argue that, okay, maybe worse debris, but in some cases, if they don't fail, it's better debris. So, we'll see.
It's 2/6 Lizard that clogs them. That sounds better to me.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's probably the better debris.
Next up is Valentina, who is a 2/3 that creates a 6-cost card randomly in your hand, discounts it by 2, and gives it -3 power. Which, of course, means that there are going to be games that involve, turn 1 Quinjet, turn 2 Valentina, turn 3 Doctor Doom, turn 3 Magneto, and the Doom is like, 2 power, but it gets 2 5s. Magneto is 9 power. This goes in Loki, right? Does it go anywhere else?
This goes in everything. Okay, so this is my probably favorite card, and I'm so excited for this card. So firstly, it's okay, yes, it's random generation, so definitely going into Loki. But like, it's random generation that fits many decks, because I was going through the list of like 6-cost cards that you really don't mind getting, and it's like a lot, right? So just some things. Let's talk about the stuff that you really don't mind getting first. Like, you don't mind a blob, obviously, because it doesn't really matter. You don't mind
She-Hulk. I don't mind a blob.
I mean, it's a 4/12. It's like a 4/12 plus, right?
Yeah, it's 4/12 your entire deck most of the time, though.
Okay, fine. Okay, maybe Blob's not the best example, but yeah, it's one of those things. She-Hulk at 4/7, quite easy to use.
Yes.
The Red Hulk that's coming out, also pretty strong. What else? Anything like Orca.
Normal
Orca
Hulk.
is also okay.
Yeah, Magneto.
Normal Hulk.
Orca.
Magneto's a 4/9.
Yes, yeah.
And of course, the easiest one is Doctor Doom, right? It's a what, 4/12? Yeah.
That is,
yeah. So, and in niche cases, like getting a 4 -3 null versus destroy is, who cares, right? It's 4 -3 versus destroy. Zola, okay, 4 -3 Zola is a little bit annoying, but like, maybe it's useful. I guess Destroyer is the only one that I find super difficult to use. But other than that, I think this card goes in so many decks, just because the chance of getting that 6 cost, reduced cost and stats card is so impactful in many situations, and so difficult to play around because, oh yes, it's random generation, but it's also from a curated pool and it's discounted. So you get to play, like you said, sort of multiple 6-cost cards in one game, just that one of it is a bit less power, but might have a very powerful on-review effect of sorts. So you could get like a cheaper onslaught as well in specific decks, which could be a thing. So I like this card a lot. Like, obviously it goes in Loki, but I do think this card goes in many other places as well. Even mid-range decks, I'm pretty sure.
Do you think this is like a Jeff competitor?
Yes.
You think you run this over Jeff in like a Hope Summers deck?
Why not just run both? Okay, but what's the space though?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Cause like, I feel like it's you have like the Jeff slot, and I like in Hope the fact that Jeff overlaps with Hope in these mid range decks makes me value him more. But also, this card is like really good when it hits, and you don't care if it's bad when it doesn't because it's still like a 2/3, which is like an okay body.
Yeah, this card is like okay. So I just realized something. This card
Hmm.
is just this card just smooths the curve. You play this on 2, you play Hope on 3, and you get a 4
Yeah.
cost 6 cost card
Oh,
to
yeah,
play.
that's
Like
really good.
it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so good.
One thing I just want to like sort of tip my cap to the devs on is that Valentina fills the hole she creates, right? She's a 2/3, and the card gets
Oh
-2
yeah,
energy, -3 cost. I think that's cute.
perfect. It's
That was,
perfect.
yeah, like that's like, all right. I saw that, I was like, all right, I like what you did there. Well done.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about these new cards. What do you think the best deck is right now, Lambie? I hope everyone at home is just waiting with bated breath to hear this answer. They have no idea what you're about to say.
Yeah. No one has any idea that I think Thanos is the best deck right now.
No
Like
one knows
no
that.
one knows this. Okay. But jokes aside, yeah, I still think okay, so Thanos has been post nerf, still the best deck I've seen in a long time. Like this Mind Stone at 2 cost obviously is a worse card. But like wow, has it not made the deck any worse? Like look at top levels of play. Look at like any level of play. Like you play this Thanos deck in Infinite Conquest, you play this on ladder, you play this in tournaments, it's gonna be a menace. I do know KM also thinks that Destroy is somewhere up there. So what do you think? Why do you think that Destroy is also back
I
to the
think
top?
both Destroy and Discard are. Destroy
Yeah.
specifically is like a personal experience thing. My record with Destroy over the past week is 34-8. And
Wow.
so it's just kind of hard for me to argue with that. Like it's like when you go 34-8 with a deck, you got to start wondering, all right, are we actually onto something here? And I uploaded a video on Destroy. I was like, I had an 80% win rate with this deck, and all the comments were like, KM, are you running out of video ideas? This is the basic Destroy deck. And it's like, yeah, man, that's the point. If I think this deck is significantly better because people are looking at it as like the base Destroy deck and it's actually highly competitive at the top levels of the game, yeah, no, that should be talked about, right? And I think Destroy is definitely up there. I think Discard is definitely up there too. That is a criminally underplayed deck. That if you go look at like untapped win rates and Infinite Conquest, it is the thing that is second place behind Thanos. It has been for a really long time. It's still very,
Yeah.
very good. You're
Actually,
gonna say?
it's so interesting, right? Like why is there not that much discard being played? Like to me, it's very obvious now that discard is really up there. Like we talk about it on so many videos, but I don't see more people playing the deck. Like I feel like it's quite a shoe in for just a deck that's up there right now,
Yeah.
straight up. And like okay, on the discard note, on the destroy note, I want to say that I may not share your exact destroy sentiments, but I share the sentiment that Killmonger is insane in the meta where Thanos is the
He's
best deck.
so
Like,
good. Killmonger's like a 25-point swing against Thanos because it means
why
you
is he
get a free
25?
0-12 and they get no
Okay.
free 0-9. Like it's just
True.
so
And like so
dumb.
sometimes you get to blow up a power stone, then the Thanos is -10. Okay,
Yeah.
not really minus 10, but
No,
I get
but
the
like
point.
it's just like it's extremely dumb. Where like you get a free 12, they lose access to a free 9, and it's just like that is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous thing to do. Also,
Yeah.
if you are gonna play Destroy, do keep in mind it won't blow up the Mind Stone anymore. Just
Wow.
real.
Okay, but it's relevant because that's a card that stays on the board for your
Yes.
for your opponent's Call Obsidian and like Mocking. But
Well,
on
not
that
Cull,
note,
but real. You know.
yeah, right, not
Yeah.
Carl, you're
Yeah.
right. Oh, Mockingbird. Yeah, no, but on that note, I just really want to say that like the importance of Killmonger also right now goes beyond just like making your opponent's Thanos deck lose stats. Like just the inability to play that Mockingbird is so huge.
I've seen the Europeans like start to adapt by just like straight up playing Kyera because they don't want to get their
Oh.
shit Killmonger anymore. They're like, I am gonna play this 0-9. You cannot stop me. It is happening, right? And I think like that's good, right? It shows Thanos responding to the meta. There are people who have been able to pressure it with various Killmonger decks. It's not just the Destroy deck. Like I know a couple of high level players are playing like Silver Surfer with Killmonger in it. Like same sort of theory, right? It's just like Killmonger's really good right now, so let's do what we can in that with Killmonger in it. And yeah, no, like it's definitely something people have sort of twigged onto. They are aware that you're gonna try to Killmonger their stones now.
And it's perfect because before we get into our final topic, I'm very sure people want Thanos to just stop responding.
So Lambie, you think they need to nerf Thanos again?
I mean, I mean, people really probably really just want Thanos to just stop responding. Thanos has responded to everything with perfect finesse. Like the deck just keeps coming back and back and back and back, and like for the last like month or so, it hasn't really left the top spot at all. I know this is gonna sound like a broken record, and we keep talking about this on the last few videos, but like we just need to drop a complete nuke on this. I
How
love
many
that.
draws? How many draws do you think it needs to lose?
Just lose it all, except
All of
Mindstone.
them.
All of them except Mindstone. Like
God.
I love Thanos. You guys know I've been loving Thanos for like a year. I'm the Thanos guy. I started this like my Marvel Snap career as the Thanos guy, but like I cannot see this deck getting that much worse. Okay, obviously if you take away everything but Mindstone, it's gonna be for sure way worse. But like it might be the remedy that is needed. Like I know you've heard me say this in the last 2-3 videos, but what else can I say? We are on 8 cubes, and this is a very very relevant topic for the future of Marvel Snap. Like I actually think that we need to really just try taking away all the draw except Mindstone for a while. See what happens. It might actually be just fine.
What if it
Fine in the sense
actually
that
is? Could
Thanos
you
gets one.
imagine that? Like, it's just like the deck is still fine. Isn't that just like
That's actually
that's
a scary
so
thought that I don't want to
insane?
imagine.
Like,
Like, can you imagine, like, if you're just playing neutral, no card draw stones on curve, but every other draw benefits from there stone being on the board, right? Like, let's
yeah,
say your stones don't draw cards, but your every other draw is like a cowl,
or a
it's like a
mockingbird,
mockingbird, it's like a
a
hope that
blob.
ramps you to the next big thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Okay, obviously there is no draws, but wow, if it still works, that's gonna be a problem.
It is just crazy just how wide the space Thanos occupies in terms of like design space, right? Where it's like you release any card doing anything, and Thanos is like, I can use that. Like, it doesn't even really
Yeah.
matter what that card is. Thanos is just like, I got it, buddy. Don't worry. This is a card for me. It's actually for me. And so,
Somehow I'll
like,
play this in my Thanos deck.
it's like if Thanos is out here intercepting passes, they're like, here, we'll give Shield Dex a card. Nope, Thanos. Here, we'll give Zoo a card. Nope, Thanos.
Nope.
Here,
Thanos.
we'll give Midrange a card. Nope, Thanos. It's all
Thanos.
Thanos all the way down. And it's just like, oh, damn, that's actually crazy. Just like how hard it is to design a good card that does not work in Thanos without saying explicitly, don't play this in Thanos. Like, it's
They
so
need to
hard
put
to
a
do.
fine print, right? Like no infinity stones or does not work with infinity stones. Like it literally is reaching that point. It's really reaching that
It
point.
seems like it is really hard to just make a card that is good that does not go in that deck. And that is just a testament to how powerful it is. I'm interested to see what they do. I think it's a patch on the 9th and an OTA on the 4th of April, I believe. So it should be, I mean, I don't know if they could fix it in an OTA. So like 10 days before the patch, and we're just sort of counting down. See what's happening. All right, y'all. This has been 8 Cubes. I have been KMBest. He has been Lamby Series, and he's about to take us out.
Thank you so much for listening with us again here on this Thanos rant. Well, I mean, we probably talked a bit more than that, but like, yeah, it's mainly about Thanos ranting. So anyway,
Not
regardless,
true.
thank
We
you so much
talked about
for
like all the new cards. It's not true.
yeah, and then
Cut yourself a
spend
break.
a third of the video talking about Thanos. But yeah, sure. All right, thank you so much for being here, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one on KM's channel.